question of trust. There's already been a bit of mistrust within the four principles, and maybe the feeling by the three, since apparently there were overtures from Jubilee to them, but they put them on the table. But now Raila goes quietly and secretly meets with Jubilee and then comes back. Do you see that as a narrative that may hold, or is this purely just PR that we're seeing right now, what would be described as the calm before the storm?
I don't believe it's PR, and politics is a game pretty much of chess.
Right.
And the best politician is the one who doesn't put all their cards on the table. And Raila is one of the most experienced politicians that we have.
When it comes to that.
In this country, yes, when it comes to that. But managing or dealing with people and relationships is complicated already. So imagine dealing with actual parties and groups of people. That's where we begin to see that it's a struggle, especially when you're coming under one umbrella, which is a coalition. We're seeing the cracks of not having political party structures. We're seeing the cracks of not being able to have some form of systems when it comes to representation. Because we've seen this before when it came to positions within the public service commissions or the committees, where some particular parties were feeling that their members were not being mentioned and particular parties were taking majority of the seats. So you could already see that there were cracks within this coalition. So when it comes to Raila Odinga speaking with President Kenyatta, I would see why party leaders feel that they were shortchanged. The fact that it wasn't transparent, and for them to learn about it in the media with the public as well.
That was hurtful. Definitely a blow.
It's hurtful.
It's quite hurtful. And I mean, they have presented a very united front throughout the whole campaigning period, and even after the campaigns, you know, with the resistant movement and all that, every statement has been made with the four principles standing, you know, together, showing, you know, a show of unity amongst themselves and by default their followers. Bernard, one of the things that also comes out of this is one of the statements which Raila made, or rather which was made, and as he was advising, he mentioned that it is for the good of NASA, especially for the three principles, because they still have presidential ambitions. Do you think he's slowly beginning to maybe advise that he may not be on the 2022 ballot?
You can't just rule out Raila yet, because this is a guy who has, they say he has more than 9 lives, and he keeps on, you know, rebranding and coming up with the different strategies. So as we approach 2022, you never know what his plans are. He might be talking to the fellow principals to indicate that he might not contest in 2022, but in real, he's just trying to repackage himself. And from this whole scenario or this conflict, he might actually come out as the strongest presidential candidate. Because when joining KANU in 1997, people thought now he has joined the ruling party, and he was given the position of the Secretary General. And people thought, okay, now
that will swallow him up.
Yeah, will swallow him. In fact, there were those cartoons of a jogo swallowing a tractor and so on. And people really wrote him off at that particular time. But what happened? He came back and led an onslaught against KANU, which led to the opposition winning the 2002 elections. So Raila is somebody who has mastered the game of politics in this country, and you treat him with a lot of carefulness, because he's not somebody you can cage and put in a container and say, this now finishes him. So it's somebody that we need to look at very carefully, and I encourage the other principles from my earlier statement. Let them not hang on this NASA thing. I think NASA is dead or is dying. Let them retreat to their political parties and strengthen them. All the grassroots elections, recruit members, because some of these parties do not have structures at all. You know, Kalonzo is only in Ukambani. He retreats to Ukambani and say, you heard that they are saying they are going to issue Ukambani declaration, which means Kalonzo's support base is mainly in Ukambani. Why can't he spread his wings? We don't want to see Moses Wetangula going to Ukambani and say we need to do for the Kenya declaration on national issues, not the Luya declaration in Bungoma. You know, those are the kind of things we want to see. And since Uhuru and Raila have already taken a first step to start this negotiation. Although the principals are claiming that the negotiation should be structured in a way that there must be a win-win situation. Because from the reports, it's like one side of the dialogue might be benefiting from it against the other. So we need to see a honest and structured discussion and dialogue all throughout, so that there's a win-win situation in all scenarios.
All right, and before we move away from this, Nerima, your thoughts on